Welcome back to BattleBots. Next up on the fight card, it is Bombshell versus Lockjaw. Kenny, in its first fight of the season, Lockjaw got decimated and knocked out by Tombstone in less than a minute, and everybody went, what's going to happen to the six-time winner of the Giant Nut? Well, he bounced back with 2 straight KOs. He knows there's a huge difference between 2-2 and 3-1 in the eyes of the selection committee. In fact, our Jenny Taft talked to him back in the pits. He said, listen, my bot is feeling great, which is rare for this time of season as you enter your 4th fight.
Listen, we've seen Donald Hudson deal with adversity in previous seasons. He always comes back stronger. He's looking pretty good right now.
On the other end of the spectrum sits Bombshell, which is 0-3. Sure, they finished last year at 0-4 and snuck into the top 16 via that chaotic 6-team rumble. But can that happen this time around?
Listen, with everything you just said, it just shows how difficult it is to predict any fight that Bombshell is a part of. Can they salvage their season? They've done it before. Let's see.
Congratulations, you did that all with a straight face, my man. Well played. Let's take you inside the box with Farouk.
In the red square, if this bot's the steak, you're the gristle. Chew through you just like that. And ain't nobody got time for fat. It's Bombshell!
Kenny, Bombshell has suffered 3 knockouts in 3 fights, but there is some good news out of their camp.
Yeah, that's right. They say that 45-pound vertical spinner is working great, and after spending a ton of time on their head in their previous fights, they can now drive inverted.
In the blue square, make way for the master, the Jack Nicholas of bots. Everyone knows it's so good, it's nuts, because he's the king of drivers, and you're just the putts. Get ready for Lockjaw!
Most people would be relieved to go against an 0-3 bot, but not Donald Hudson.
Donald's been around long enough to know that a seasoned team like Bombshell is more than capable of learning from their losses. He won't be taking this matchup lightly.
They have nothing to lose. I know they fixed their invertibility. They have enough reach to cause some serious damage. I'm gonna have to outdrive them and stay away from the front of the robot. You know, without a shield, to slow the weapon down, that it just comes down to that. Balls to the wall, gonna drive it like I stole it.
We're still gonna run the vertical weapon for this matchup, but we're running it with no wedge. So it's out in front, exposed, and it's gonna eat whatever it hits.
We've made the fixes we need to, and we're strong going in.
All right, Kenny, a winless Bombshell is all that stands in the way of Donald Hudson, likely cementing a spot in the top 16. What can we expect?
Chris, Donald knows a loss here would severely hurt his chances at making the tournament. Anything less than a knockout would be a disappointment.
Let the bot battle begin. Oh, nice shot by Bombshell out of the gate. Oh, man. The driving a little wobbly by the veteran Donald Hudson and Lockjaw. Keep an eye on that, Kenny.
Yeah, it looks like Lockjaw having some stability issues. They're bouncing around the battle box. That back right tire is toast, Chris, straight out of the gate.
And now Lockjaw going in for a little spark fill.
Bombshell is hurt, having some driving issues.
Whee! Going in reverse. Now I've seen it all, Kenny. Bombshell might have to complete this match backwards.
Yeah, Lockjaw has an opening here, but they're having some serious issues of their own. That bot does not look right, Chris.
Oh, yeah, there's more sparks. Oh, Donald Hudson's bot is smoking. It is smoking. Lockjaw could be in trouble here.
Back up. Back up.
And it seems that the smoke perhaps is past for the time being.
That reverse driving from Bombshell is extraordinary, Chris. Dead Hammer doing an incredible job staying in this match.
Oh! And there it gets popped and thrown back thanks to its own vertical disc spinner. And now it might be dead.
I'm not seeing any movement at all, guys.
Yeah, Bombshell not moving. The reverse driving was fun while it lasted, Chris, but here comes the countdown.
9, 8, 7. And just in the nick of time, because we're going to have to call extinguisher. 1, that's a knockout. Oh, look at Donald Hudson. He wins and might have lost his electrical system all in one fell swoop.
Right. That was close.
And poor old Bombshell looking on and thinking, what could have been? Kenny, that first hit was jarring.
Yeah, Bombshell rushed Lockjaw and took out that back tire right out of the gate, then went back in for more, charging their weapon and causing major damage to both bots' drive systems.
Lockjaw able to dictate the fight from there, but give some credit to Team Bombshell. They realized their bot could only drive in reverse. They were actually able to stay in it. I bet Dan hammers an excellent parallel Parker.
Maybe, but that shot might leave some marks on a fender, and that was all she wrote for Bombshell.
Scary moment, though, at the end of the fight here for Donald. His bot caught fire. He was saved by the countdown and gets that all-important third win by the skin of his teeth.
Donald Hudson, that fight was fire. No, literally, your bot is on fire. What happened there?
Yeah, there's nothing quite like winning a fight on fire. You know, I knew it was going to be a really tough match. I watched him reconfigure the robot, and I thought, oh, man, that's exactly what I would have done. You know, their first hit to the wheel definitely took out one motor, and we had to kind of, you know, compromise a little with the 3 we had. You know, down there at the end, you know, I'm pushing the throttle either way. You know, they had a couple really close calls, so my hat's off to them. They were very wise in their choices after me, and it could have went either way.
Well, right now you're sitting pretty with the winning record. Where do you think this ranks you amongst the top 16?
Obviously, having 1 loss against Tombstone and 3 wins, plus my ranking from last year, should put me up there enough to get in the top 16. That was my goal. I was going to drive it like I stole it, and so far it worked out.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Kenny, Donald Hudson has been so good for so long. He deserves to be lucky every once in a while. Where do you think he sits in the pecking order right now?
You know, he's had some good fights. One very forgivable loss to Tombstone, so Lockjaw at 3-1 is a pretty safe bet for the top 16.
In the meantime, Bombshell falls to 0-4. They've been knocked out all 4 times, but at least we got to see how the robot should work.
This was definitely a more positive sign for Team Bombshell. They've been dealing with everything that Murphy's Law has thrown at them, but a better sign for sure.
When we come back, Ray Billings is taking a repaired Tombstone to the fight against Gruff. That's next on BattleBots Fight Night. Welcome back to BattleBots. Next up, it is the former king Tombstone taking on the ferocious flame of Gruff. Kenny Florian, we are making history right now. Do you know why?
I do not.
For the first time ever, we are talking about Tombstone after it lost a regular season fight. It was KO'd by Rotator with just a few ticks left on the clock. Ray Billings admitted his bot was pretty beat up and had to do a serious rebuild. So we sent Jenny Taft to check in with the former champ down in the pits.
Ray, your team has been hard at work.
We've been at it for a solid day, a little more than that now.
In terms of damage, what were you dealing with, and how did the rebuild go?
We had some structural damage to the previous frame. It was repairable, but it was probably the right choice to move on to one of the backups at this point in time. And there wasn't anything left in the old robot that was usable from the fire.
Nothing.
Pretty much everything was scorched.
Whoa! That is a big-time fire! You see all that smoke billowing out of the back.
The drive motor still works.
Okay.
But beyond that, I don't think there was anything else we saved. And the few pieces we've tried to save as we're putting it back together have turned up to be problematic. At this point, it's going to be all new, but all cobbled together here in the pits.
So we're looking at a brand new Tombstone.
We're looking at one that's been emergency assembled in the pit. So, you know, new sounds good. In this particular case, we've had a vicious rebuild in a hurry, and that's when you make mistakes. Things don't get wired correctly, or they don't get attached correctly. We had it in the test box and spun it up last night, so it works, it spins. But that doesn't mean that I'm 100% confident in how it's going to function in combat, because it's a little different in combat than it is in a test box. We got a fight here probably in a couple hours against Gruff. That'll be a tough match.
What's your take on Gruff?
Well, Gruff is a very tough robot. It's very solid. It's just a big block of steel. It's a very tough machine. It's a tough matchup at any time, but especially at this stage of the event where we're not sure we're 100%.
Now, Kenny, it's no secret that the better the bot, the tougher the matchups. And Tombstone's season has been that in a nutshell. Facing top-tier bots like Lockjaw, Sawblaze, and Rotator has taken a toll on Ray Billings and Tombstone. So a matchup against a rookie bot in Gruff must be a sight for sore eyes.
Yes, in theory. Gruff may be a rookie at BattleBots, but they're no stranger to combat robotics. And if you look at their other 3 matchups this season, there's one constant. Gruff is built to take a hit. And you heard Ray Billings tell Jenny earlier, Gruff is not a bot to overlook.
Are you trying to tell me that Tombstone could face a losing streak?
Well, possibly.
Look me in the eyes. Tell me the truth.
Possibly?
Let's find out. I hate it when you lie. Farouk, take it away.
In the red square, from the book of BattleBots, chapter 25, verse 17. And this bot will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to enter the battle box. And you will know its name when it lays down its vengeance upon thee. Tombstone!
Kenny, I'm always curious which blade Ray Billings is going to go with. What's he got?
Well, they went with the 72-pounder, the S7 blade. That thing is nasty.
When you combine numbers and letters in a blade, the thing can be big boy.
In the blue square, this bot will burn you worse than Gordon Ramsay. Kids, don't fry this at home. It's got you on blast with a flame that'll make you insane, so you better watch your ash. It's Gruff!
Kenny, Sam McCamus of Gruff knows the hits are coming, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's exactly why he welded on a big chunk of steel to that front wedge, and he hopes that those hits from Tombstone will ultimately slow him down, and then he'll go for the kill later in the fight.
Kenny, Ray Billings trying to avoid being set on fire for a second fight in a row. What are we about to see here?
Well, Chris, I expect we'll see a box rush from Sam McCamus to try to jam up Tombstone's weapon, but that's a strategy that's taken most bots to the loser's call.
It's the rookie versus the king. Can Gruff spark an unprecedented losing streak for Tombstone and Ray Billings? Find out after this on BattleBots Fight Night. Welcome back to BattleBots. Tombstone coming off an unexpected loss in his last fight. Can he right the ship? He'll have to go through Gruff to do it. Let the bot battle begin.
Oh! Huge hit by Gruff, Chris.
Wow, Gruff taking it to Tombstone. And he might have screwed up part of the floor near one of the saw blades. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but how about this? Gruff with no fear, Kenny. Tombstone looking a little rattled as Gruff continues to hunt down the former champ.
Gruff going right at Tombstone. Very surprised with the strategy. Very aggressive. Oh, look at this.
Wow, Gruff taking Tombstone into the corner. Now that is is the pulverizer that's operated by Ray Billings' crew, so that's why it didn't fall down.
Oh! That was a giant shot by Tombstone.
Oh, there goes the flame. Here goes the power of Gruff. And there goes Tombstone into the corner again. Kenny, the underdog, is taking it to the former champ.
Yeah, he really is, and Ray Billings not liking seeing that fire again. That's what did his robot in last time.
Oh, Ray Billings gets thrown against the rails, but delivers a quality shot there.
Yeah, Tombstone trying to get some space to fire up that primary weapon. Huge shot! Oh my goodness!
And Ray Billings ends up on the screws. Look at Gruff try and throw Tombstone out of the arena, but it doesn't happen.
And Chris Tombstone comes off the screws inverted. That big blade is going to have a different angle of attack now.
Somehow that S7 blade that weighs 72 pounds still operating at full strength on Tombstone. And Kenny, the former winner of the Giant Nut, he's not going to go quietly into the night. He's continuing to stay aggressive.
Yeah, if I'm Gruff, I'm still looking for the knockout here. Tombstone is going to keep attacking until the final bell. I guarantee you that.
What a fight so far. Just over 1 more minute. Unbelievable the punishment that Gruff can take.
Oh, look at that. Almost grappled Tombstone now. A minute left in this fight, Chris. And the flames are getting involved now.
And look at Gruff. He takes Tombstone into the rails yet again. Those forks on Gruff desperately trying to find a way to lift Tombstone. But he can't get underneath, and Tombstone just keeps on coming. Look at this, Kenny.
Gruff, just so tough, so durable, and aggressive as well. Tombstone just can't find an answer, looking for the knockout shot, and Gruff taking every single one of those shots.
Under 30 to go. Such an impressive performance by Gruff. Can he finish it off?
Now Tombstone really circling Gruff and causing some serious damage. Gruff might be in trouble.
Oh no, Gruff says Tombstone, I'm gonna pick you up by the nape of your neck. You get out of here, boy. Under 10 to go. Oh! Tombstone sends Gruff into the rails to cap an amazing match. Wow!
Wow!
And look at Sam McAmis and Team Gruff playing to the crowd, feeling as though they have won the decision and knocked off the former winner of the Giant Nut. So this one now goes to the judges, all 3 former BattleBots participants scoring on a 7-point system. Up to 3 points can be awarded for damage, 2 for aggression, and 2 for control. Kenny, what an amazing performance by Sam McAmis. It kind of felt like Gruff controlled the majority of this fight.
Yeah, Gruff not intimidated at all by Tombstone, went right at him, let Tombstone know that he's in a big fight.
So how are the judges going to break this one down?
Look, I think you have to give Gruff the control points here. They dictated the action. In terms of aggression, I had that about even with both bots really refusing to back down. But where it gets interesting is how the judges choose to award the damage points. Despite these huge impacts, Tombstone's weapon remained active, and in fact, Ray took out Gruff's Flamethrower, bent his forks, and generally took chunks out of that bot. I have a feeling this is going to be a closer decision than the fans might expect.
Okay, let's go down to Farouk with the results.
The results from the judges are in. And the winner by unanimous decision is Tombstone!
All right, I'm here with the relieved Ray Billings of Team Tombstone. How nervous were you for that decision, Ray?
Well, it could have really gone either way. We were clearly up on damage, but he was more in charge of what was going on in the match, and it really could have gone either way. I always think I win, so of course I think it's the right call. But it was a tough match, and I knew it would be. That's just a really tough robot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you definitely had more damage. They had better control, aggression. Who knows? Could have gone either way. Right. But what an amazing fight! Can you talk us through it a little bit?
I'm just happy it worked after all the repair work we had to do to get here at this point in time, because we had an epic repair day yesterday getting the robot ready. And I know he had some of the same issues too, so the fact that both robots went in there and just did their thing for 3 minutes, that was an awesome match. I loved it.
3-1 sounds a lot better than 2-2, no?
Yeah, 2-2, that would have hurt. I would have had a hard time making it into the Tree of 16. At this point in time, you know, I'd say our chances are pretty well solid. And we got the robot back together, and it's working. So I like my chances moving forward.
Ray, you came back strong. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I'm here with Sam McCamus of Team Gruff. That was one of the best driving performances I've ever seen, man. I know you didn't get the decision, but you have to be pleased with how you drove out there.
Yeah, we went 3 minutes against Tombstone, and that's a win in my books.
You're a very soft-spoken guy, but when you get in the battle box, man, you are mean, you are evil, and you drive very aggressively.
Yeah, I like to, you know, get on them and stay on them.
Listening to the fans here in the arena, I think a lot of people thought you may have won this fight. What did you think?
It's tough to say. I think we dominated in control and aggression, but he got some pretty good hits on it. Took out our Flamethrower and tweaked our forks pretty bad. So got a bit of work to do.
I was blown away by the performance, man. Look forward to seeing more Team Gruff.
Thanks.
Congrats, guys. That was awesome.
Now let's start with this point. When it comes to the judges, damage reigns supreme. Once again, all these bouts are scored on a 7-point system. You can give 3 for damage, 2 for aggression, and 2 more for control. And all 3 judges had it 4-3 in favor of Tombstone. So here's a peek at Derek Young's card with cute little pictures of the two. How did you see it? Do you agree? Because I don't think the crowd did.
Well, listen, it was a very, very close fight. At the end of the day, the judges, they're bot builders, they're competitors. They know this sport better than anyone out there. And, you know, they have a different eye than everybody here.
All right, so Tombstone was this close to having a losing streak. Is there now a blueprint to beat him?
I think so. Listen, you got to jam them up early. You cannot be tentative against a weapon like Tombstone. You have to go right at him, even though it's scary. The problem is you better be a well-made bot, and Gruff is a very well-made bot.
Up next, hell is going to freeze over in the box. No, Kenny's not going to fight a robot.
Hope not.
It's the Steely Cobalt against the Kiwi Killer. Endgame on BattleBots Fight Night.